and obviously training's become I don't know, would you say a lot more structured in comparison?
100%. I would definitely say they've benefited so much from the training now, because Jed takes more of a front step with the training, and I'll be honest, I lead quite a busy life with work and stuff, and it's a blessing that I can turn up to training and it's, you know, Jed's already done his homework and he's sort of set everything out, and we know what we're doing, you know, we know where we're going, and yet it flows a lot better now as well. Yeah,
I think the only downside is it's an hour long rather than an hour and a half, because we spend a bit of time, don't we? Our structure is like non-negotiables. They always turn up and they know that they're going to start training with 2 laps of half a pitch. And then it goes on to doing some stretches. We then go on to do some, you know, sort of some sprint preparation, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we go on to do some sprints. And then we try and go on to ball work, whether it be dribbling, running with the ball, carrying the ball.
Yeah.
But also looking at, you know, passing drills. And if we have enough time, obviously we try and do some more sort of complicated or technical passing drills before going into a game. But I think the hours training don't always work, does it?
So an interesting conversation that I had last night when we went to that meeting with the lady from Castle.
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned to her, because we were talking about, you know, wanting to book the pitch for a bit longer, because we wanted to do a bit of a longer training session, because we don't feel that an hour's enough now.
It's not, is it?
She did say to me, she says, are you aware that they're only allowed to train for an hour? And I said, no. I said, what, they're only allowed to do it? She goes, yeah, it is. I said, what, is that like a league rule? And she goes, well, it's frowned upon. It's frowned upon to train for longer than an hour at a time. Kids should only be playing football for an hour at a time.
But if they go to the cage and they run around for 2 hours, what does that mean?
So I think that was what she was sort of saying, is that they're doing a lot of after-school activities. They're then going and playing football with the mates. So
what is it supposed to be, like overtraining or something?
I don't know. It's, you know, it might be something to look into, but yeah, that's what she was saying, is that they should only be playing football at a club, you know, for an hour.
So if they're doing an hour and a half training once a week, and then an hour's game? Yeah. How are you telling me that 2.5 hours for the whole week is enough for kids that are under 12?
I think the point what she was making is that hour and a half isn't the only bit of running about that they're doing. So they're obviously playing football for the schools and training for the schools and I think the main point that she was making was that it come down to children hitting the teens and suffering a lot with shin splints and stuff like that. And it was injuries that they must be on the rise, or there's been an influx of injuries on a certain age group of kids.
But I mean,
and they're trying to put it back to too much activity.
I find that quite mental when you think some kids are playing.
Yeah, me too.
For maybe 2 different sides, and they're doing a training session for that side, a training session for their other side, and then they're playing Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
How's that work? What are you going to stop them?
You've got six-year-olds.
I think that's why they're trying to limit each team to do it, because they've got kids like that. And like I say, I'm just saying that I don't know the ins and outs of this. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's a thing that's been said by the FA. I'm not sure, but that's what she was telling me last night.
I'll have to look into that, mate, because that sounds a bit. There's so many kids out there that will play football more than once a week.
Yep.
So what? You're gonna stop them from playing football and say, sorry, you've done your allocation for this week. You have to go and play tennis or ride your bike instead.
So I think that's what I was sort of, the way that I looked at it was that you don't have any control over a kid going home from school and going and playing football on the field, or going and play football with the mates down the cage. But what the FA can control is how much they're doing it with the grassroots football team. So if they can limit your sort of activity time there, it's helping preserve their bodies then for the long run. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. So if I'm Manchester United, I've got 20 kids that live on camp because some of them live around Man United.
Yeah, Marcus Rashford didn't he?
They
live a host
turn
families,
up in
don't
the
they?
morning. They have their breakfast at Man United. Then they go in and play football. They come after they play football for however long the training is, because they do strength and conditioning and all that. They go back in, have lunch. Then they come back out again to do football. They're no longer allowed to do that. Or is it just grassroots football?
So I think, again, that probably takes us back to that point that we were talking about earlier with the differences between the JPL teams and the professional academies and the grassroots teams.
But kids are kids. Doesn't matter if they're playing for Man United or Leigh Park Tigers.
Yeah. I
agree. I mean, there's not much of a difference between the two, but
again, it's English football trying to control what happens, and I do not get it. It's more control.
We've asked our parents, haven't we?
Yep.
If we can extend training to an hour and a half, would you all be happy with that? Or if we did an extra training session, all of them turned around and said, my kid would love that.
So I think if you, now that, the nights are going to get lighter, we train 5 till 6 on a Thursday.
Yeah.
You're not telling me that if we train 5 till 6 on a Thursday, that our kids are going to go home and put the feet up and relax. Or I guarantee you 90% of them kids are going to go home when it's still light. They're going to go straight out with the mates and play football again. So whether they're doing that out on the field
or with us,
and
I think if they're doing it with us, it's going to be in a safer environment.
Yeah, of course it is.
I mean,
that's right.
You both know the fact that when we do training, there's going to be stretches. We don't let any of those kids.
No.
Even if you arrive late, you're still going to do your 2 laps and you're still going to do your stretches and be part of it, because it's injury prevention, isn't it? It's making sure that we're getting the best out of them, but making sure that they don't get injured. And we haven't had many kids that have been injured this season, apart from Lottie breaking her feet because she's got
both feet,
glass feet.
Glass feet, yeah.
And that's nothing to do with football.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with this
with us
stretches.
No,
exactly.
Yeah. But like you say, we dedicate the start of our training to the warm up, and that's why we feel like an hour's not long enough, because we won't actually get a ball out for the first 20 minutes.
Well, they don't even. Yeah, I mean, they're lucky if they can get a ball out in the first half an hour.
So we start at 5 o'clock. We've now started. We all used to turn up. So I have all the equipment. So I used to turn up with the bags, and I'd get the bag of balls. I'd throw it over the fence, and then that were it. They'd be on it.
Yeah, they would.
It open. They'd be off out the doors. We've stopped that now, so they don't get the balls out as soon as we get there. So we'll get there for sort of 5 o'clock. We'll go and do our 2 laps. Then we'll do 5 minutes of stretching with them, make sure that they're all stretched out.
Yeah, at least sort of 5-10 minutes, isn't it?
And then they'll do some more sort of strength and conditioning work, or whatever you would call it. They do the shuttles and the more sort of technical sort of
absolutely,
stuff without a football, and then we'd introduce a football into it. So some nights it might be 5:30
before they've even touched the ball.
So we're halfway into training before they've even touched the ball. That for me is it's not long enough.
No, it's not.
And I think that's what we've sort of been having that discussion about recently, is that we do need, especially for the under 12s.
Not for the under 8s. It's too soon. I think.
So we still
their attention span as well, isn't it? If the under 8s, if you can't.
You need to be doing a drill with them for no longer than 10 minutes, because that's it. They
100%.
just start pelting balls everywhere, and I get that. That's part of it. That's part of growing up and learning.
That is part of football. I mean, that's part of the enjoyment of it. But
so
especially at the under 12s now, they're in that position where they have got to be treated a bit firmer. They understand that. They seem to have taken it all on board. I mean, look at Kenzie. He's recently joined us. I think he came to the first couple of training sessions, and that lad didn't know what hit him. Yeah, I don't think he'd ever been through any stretches.
I was going to say, he didn't know what stretches were.
Anything like that. I mean,
that first training session that he did, we went over and said, "Do you enjoy that?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Are you used to that sort of training?" It was like, "No."
Even his mum was a little bit.
You could tell on his face that he loved it.
He'd arrived.
You could tell on his face that the kid loved it. And then I think it was shortly after that his mum asked Rob to let her know when there's a space on the under-8s because they wanted to be a part of that as well.
Hey,
so
she spotted a good thing and was straight in there.
Well, we've had that quite a few times, haven't we? Where
What the parents saying how good it is.
Yeah,
I think any of the new starters that have come in and watched our training or been part of it have instantly gone, bloody hell! What is this?
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's the thing because we in terms of who we are quite big on social media when it comes to sort of locally around sort of Lee Park, Havant, Portsmouth. Everyone in Mid-Solent knows who Lee Park Tigers are, and they don't realise what the kids get out of it in training because they think it's all the show, it's just for social media, and it's not. They get so much benefits out of the training. There's no, I don't think there's anyone that matches it.
We've had comments before. I remember, I think it was last summer that we were doing training down at Front Lawn, and there's obviously other teams that train there at the same time as us. And last year, a parent from one of the other teams, he was just walking past just as I was going over and setting the goals up, and he come over to me and he said, what team are you guys? So I told him what team we are. I said, well, Lee Park Tigers. He said, what age group is it? I said, oh, we're under 11. He said, do you play in like JPL League or something? I said, no. I said, we're just grassroots team. He said, I've been here like a few weeks now and seen you. He said, seems very structured. He said, you're doing really well. And I was like, oh, thanks. Yeah, that's just how it should be in my mind. Like that's how you play football. That's how you learn. That's how you develop.
I think for me, it's become the norm, isn't it? It's normal for us. I can't think of anything worse than just turning up to training and going, here's a ball, let's just play a game.
Yeah,
have a match.
Do you know what? I've said to you both before, it made me feel like a glorified babysitter.
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather have that structure, and like you say, the kids have taken it on board, haven't they? They don't even bat an eyelid now. They know exactly what's coming from the off, what they're going to do as soon as they get there, as soon as they're called in. They know what's coming, and they get straight on with it, don't they? And I just think we're just going to continue doing that.
I hope so, because we have developed so much over the last 12 months, and with a possible promotion on our hands this season, we're going to need it. We're going to need to develop even more. So
pre-season's going to be interesting, isn't it?
I can't wait for that.
Pre-season.
I'm going to get fit again. I tell you what, as well, I think some of the parents, they might get involved this year. We might have to charge them though.
I'm all for it.
We had
all for it.
We had one of the parents after Christmas, obviously with the bad weather. So when we break up for Christmas, obviously we get our last training session in before Christmas and before like all the facilities close down for a couple of weeks. And myself, Rob and Jed, you sort of tell yourself, I'm looking forward to having a little break at Christmas, have a couple of weeks off.
Hate it.
And then within a week, we're all texting each other saying, shall we get something sorted for Saturday morning? Shall we go and do a little session with them Saturday morning? and we done it, didn't we? We did it one Saturday morning, and a couple of the parents said, I don't know if we jokingly put it out there and said, yeah, we'll get you in there as well.
I think they mentioned it, didn't they? I think one of the parents
did,
after having a bit,
can we join in?
Overindulging at Christmas, I said, get yourselves down there. And a couple of them did it, but it was Dave and Lauren, and Lauren backed out, didn't she? She didn't turn up.
I wouldn't do it either.
And, but
fair play to
Dave, to his credit, turned up.
He did lose his colour a little bit.
And the poor bloke was sweating, wasn't he? And I tell you what, after that, he did make a comment, and he said, fair play to them kids. Because it wasn't anything different really to what we normally do. Maybe a little bit more fitness. Maybe we did an extra 10 minutes on the fitness. But he said fair play to them kids doing that every week. You can tell why they're going now for the 60 minutes fully, and teams are tiring and we're not.
Yeah,
and that comes down to the training that they've been putting on. And
I think all the parents have said the same thing, haven't they? They've all turned around and said, got to keep doing that fitness, and it's
only benefiting them, even if it's take it away from football as well, taking the ball out of the equation.
Yeah.
In the summer pre-season, we went down to Barton's Green. We were doing hill sprints, and they loved it. They wanted to.
Down at Bidbury.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
They were wanting to do
They kept asking to do more.
extra sprints, and and we'd go down there and we'd do an hour's worth of fitness with them, and they loved it. And it's only going to benefit them in life in general. Taking the football out of the equation, it's going to make them healthier. It's going to make them perform better at school. It's going to sleep better. It's
just their general well-being, isn't it?
Yeah,
and what was it? I think we had a few parents come over, didn't they, and say, well, what's going on here? Or, I've got a son. Can they?
Yes, we have.
Have you got any spaces?
Because one lad, he came over looking at his badge, didn't he? And he said, "Oh, have you got an under-10s team?" And I was like, "No, unfortunately, we haven't." I mean, Ed's got another young lad who's
he's made hints before.
Who's he plays for a different under-10s team, and I said, "Look, your dad needs to set up an under-10s team for you, then, don't they, through Lee Park?" But
yet to do it.
He's yet to do it. He's not done it yet.
Ed's been vetted, so he can bring someone else on.
Do you want to mention our recent events with a certain college? Are we going to mention what's happened there?
I'm still livid about that.
It's still it's a bit of a sore subject, isn't it?
Yeah, I think let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
So
yeah.
So we, for the last 2 years, we've been playing our home matches at Havant College, and it's been down to me. I don't know how, and I don't know how it ended up at my door.
No, I don't know.
Sort these pitches out, but it did, and I ended up emailing and booking the pitches down at Havant College, originally just for the under 12s, which were the under 11s back then, and. It started off really well. We obviously started there in the summer, so they were out cutting the grass. It was fine. And then it's progressively got more difficult. Obviously, when the bad weather hits, that first winter that we were there, we soon realised, they're not going to cut the grass.
They made that pretty clear, didn't they?
Which is, and I get that. I 100% get that. If you've got wet grass, you've got soft ground, you're not going to get heavy machinery on there to cut it. I totally understand that. But then it sort of transpires that they didn't have the manpower down there to actually look after that grass as much as we would have wanted them to. And as much as I know it was Rob who struck up that contract with them in the beginning, and from what they sort of said that they would do, what they promised down there, they've not really kept their
they haven't delivered it. They haven't delivered on it at all, have they?
They've not done a great deal. We've been down there, marked the pitch out every time. They've never once marked that pitch out for us, so that's obviously at a cost to us.
Yeah.
Again, as volunteers, we've been down there cutting the grass.
Early hours as well.
Early hours, cutting that grass, just so that we can get these kids playing football, lining the pitch out, getting everything sorted, and then packing it all away at the end. We never once left any mess. There was never one empty plastic bottle left on that pitch.
Not from us, anyway.
There was never anything. No, the amount of times that we've been down there and we've had to pick up dog poo because people let the. We've seen it. We've seen people down there on using the other facilities there, and they've got the dogs there throwing balls, letting the dogs run around. We're picking up their turd, and we won't allow our parents and our families to bring the dogs down because you're not allowed, because it states it in the contract that we had with them. We've never missed a payment there. We've never asked for a reduced price or any sort of discount because we maintain that grass and paint it out. We've never asked for anything. All we've asked for is for them to cut the grass. And I get that I've probably come across as a bit of a pest and a bit of a nuisance, because it'd get to it weekly where I'm asking, as the grass being cut, can we book in for this week? And we've got a match coming up, we need the grass cutting. And you'd send an email on a Monday or a Tuesday, you wouldn't get an email back until Thursday evening, Friday. And by that point, it leaves you 24 hours then to cancel a game or to find alternative. It just wasn't good enough. And it now that we've sort of been kicked out of there this week with immediate effect, they couldn't just leave it until the end of the season and say, look, this isn't working, we need to review this or whatever. It was with immediate effect, and that left a sour taste in my mouth. But I do feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders from having to deal with that college.
It's
just trying to get. I don't think they realised that we were just a grassroots club run by volunteers, because when I actually mentioned that to them, their attitude did change a little bit.
Yeah, it's too late, isn't it?
It were just snotty emails, and just as soon as anything got mentioned, which might be slightly not even negative, but slightly which was against them, then it just got the backup. And
you got very defensive, didn't they?
They got very defensive, and I was just like, I'm just trying to book a pitch in this community to let local kids play football. And it was such a good pitch. It was perfect.
Yeah,
it was flat. It drained well. Plenty of parking. It was local, and it just it was perfect for us. And it's a shame because it doesn't matter how many times they say it or what they say of who was using that pitch. I think we three know full well that we were the only team using that pitch. There was one other organisation using that pitch, and that was a charity that used it for about 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
And we were the only ones. There's no way that anyone could have played on that pitch in the state that it was.
No.
Nobody else was playing on that pitch. So it's a perfect, lovely pitch in the middle of Havant, and it's not getting used. It's
By a
just gonna be
college
sat
that
there.
states they're a college
Community.
for the community.
And they sent us an email this week saying that that the cutting of the grass down there, or the sport
provision.
The sports provision is not a priority of ours at the minute. We have offered to take the maintenance of that pitch away from them,
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
so that they don't have to do it. Just let us cut the grass. We had the contacts, and we were willing to fund it ourselves to get that grass cut. And it was just like, well, look, if we don't do it, nobody does it. And
They were difficult from the start.
It just
weren't they?
seems like it was a bit of a power trip to me.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense. When I went down there and I spoke to the head guy there, that's not there anymore. So maybe that's why things have changed. But they basically promised us the world, really. Said we could do whatever we wanted to do. Was happy for us coming in early, which we sometimes were 2 hours early before games, lining out the pitches, which they said they would do for us, and they never did. And yeah, for some reason, every single week, it got more and more difficult to try and book a pitch. We're not asking for much. All we're saying is, look, you've got a field there. Let us basically maintain that pitch for you, and let these 7, 8-year-olds play football, because that's who they've kicked out. They've kicked out underage 9 children who are in the local community, want to play football, and they're telling them they can't play football there.
And they're under 12s. They've kicked out. Kicked out all of them, haven't they?
Yeah, it's just
because
So they actually kicked out the under-8s team. So they've said that we can no longer play use it on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And they said that goes for everybody now.
Yeah.
So
Whoever everybody is.
I know that down there they have a roller skaters people, because they were there last Sunday or the Sunday before, whenever it was, and they were there, and I actually had a chat with them, and he said, we use this every week. 10 o'clock every week we do the roller skating indoors, so it'd be interesting to see if they've been kicked out on the Sunday.
Probably not.
They said to me that they had, everyone's gone,
and every Sunday Havant hockey are down there. So are they now not allowed to use that because it's on a Sunday? I know that they obviously own that section.
They can't. Surely they can't stop them.
They lease that, but they've got to use the car park. They've got to go open the gates and go through. So where do they draw the line?
Yeah, but they can't stop them from
But
interesting anyway.
Going back to that, the under-12s, they've said that we can only play on a Saturday as long as there is a facilities operative there.
and no games in the winter.
And they need a 10-day notice to book a pitch, which is fine if we get a list of fixtures. But when you get into the cup competitions like the under-8s just have,
it's going to change.
Those fixtures, if you go through on a Sunday, you get a fixture for the following Sunday on that Monday, sort of at the earliest. So you've got 6 days then to, that's 6 days notice. If you do the same with the under-12s, how are you giving 10 days notice? You don't know your fixture until you win that game, that cup game, or you go out of the cup or whatever. So, they've basically made it impossible.
Yeah, making it difficult.
For the under-12. So I think we as a club, I've just
binned it off
now, and that we pull them out. So
it's not worth the time and energy, is it? Over trying to battle with them about cutting grass. It just seems absolutely ludicrous.
Do you know what the worst thing for me was? Is that the person that I had to deal with at the college, I've never met this person. I've only ever dealt with them over emails, but they made me feel like a bad person for wanting
kids to play football.
And I remember sitting there like reading the emails that I'd sent and just thinking like, should I have sent that? Am I, I'm questioning like, and I used to get like anxious about it, thinking, I've got to sort this out now.
Yeah.
And I knew what was coming. Joke. I knew that sort of hardship was coming because I just knew what they were like at this point, and I felt like they made me feel like a bad person for wanting to like do a bit of good for the kids, like we're monsters. It just left a very sour taste in my mouth.
I think we all saw it coming though, didn't we? We just just not at this I say early stage, but not at this stage. Maybe at least saying at the end of the season, look lads, this is not going to work anymore. We're not happy with this and this. But to do it with immediate effect and just go, right, we've made your under-12s and under-8s homeless. And now we've had to try and sort out alternative pitches.
It's the extra stress of that then, it's not easy.
It's not been easy.
Yeah.
It's not been easy when you're told that you can only have certain pitches.
Yeah.
So we managed to get it sorted anyway. So at least we're playing tomorrow. Yeah. And then hopefully we can get everything resolved, and then next season we can find more of a permanent home.
Yeah,
working with the council. So hopefully fingers crossed.
And hopefully that EuroMillions comes in pretty soon, so I can buy that land.
I think we'll have to keep everyone sort of in the loop with those plans, Kev, about when we win the EuroMillions. And
we'll do another episode on our plans to set up our very own St George's Academy.
Lee Park Tigers version.
Yeah, more to come from that.
Could you imagine? You imagine?
I can imagine it, Jed. Yeah, because I've been dreaming about it for the last 12 months.
It's been longer than that, surely. I think since we started.
I think it's been building for a long time. I think what's spurred it on more is when we started the trouble with when we started,
because we wanted to buy.
So when we
plans of buying that land,
when it started getting really difficult with trying to organise the pitches, that's what started to spur me on, thinking if only this was ours, if only we owned this, just think what we could do with it. And I've planned it out. We're going to have a 4G pitch on there with a roof over it, with a dome over it, mezzanine floor, glass fronted, like over the pitch, so that we can watch the games from up there.
There'll be no problems with referees because we'll have our own.
No, we'll have our own referees.
And we'll tell the league
we'll have a team bus, with the Lee Park Tigers logo on it. We'll pick all the kids up on the way through. We'll have pyrotechnics. I wanted a tunnel.
Take about an hour to get there. Just down the road.
I wanted a tunnel that we can pull out from the changing rooms so that they can all come out of the tunnel. Obviously, the football on the podium stand at the end, which the referee will pick up, and then as they come out, fireworks going off
inside. Inside fireworks.
Maybe we'll have to
tiny indoor fireworks.
Maybe we have to think about that, but maybe some sparklers.
But then we have like a confetti cannon.
We wanted that, and then after the game, we'd get some chefs in, obviously. Get them to put on a spread then for the players. We'll have a players bar, so that the players and the families can go in there and have a drink and something to eat.
Players lounge.
it'd be an experience then playing Lee Park Tigers. It wouldn't just be
But
an hour's
it's
football
experience
on a
already,
Saturday
but-
morning.
Do you know what? I was going to say the exact same thing. It's an experience playing for Lee Park Tigers
Yeah.
at the moment, isn't it? Because
But yeah,
everything that we
oh,
give these kids
Yeah.
is probably way more than a lot of other clubs do, isn't it? And
I mean, that dream of doing that, it's almost like it's already started. You know what these kids get.
mate,
yeah,
You know, we give them what we can. We give them as much as we possibly can.
everything goes to those kids.
And you know, if that EuroMillions comes in, that won't change. It just means that they'll get bigger and better things.
It's next
like,
level,
we
next
give,
level
we give
kind
them
of stuff.
now what we can afford to give them. Imagine what we can give them with 100 million in bank.
Like,
Frightening.
could you imagine the changing room?
Big Lee
Looking
Park
like
Tigers
that,
sticking
right in the
that
middle,
bottom
like
floor,
boots like hung up in the lockers, and